on the Westwood One NCAA Radio Network. Take care, folks.
Baseline underneath, bank shot. No, Ewing slams in the follow. And the Knicks go up by one with 26 seconds remaining.
When this happened, you talked about it on The Fan.
The buzzer sounds, and the New York Knickerbockers are going back to the NBA Finals.
When New York sports happens, talk about it here. The Fan, 101.9 FM, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM, The Fan, WFAN.
Yes, sir, that's right. It's Chris McMonagle. It's madness, baby. Are you sure the postgame's over? I don't have to come on. You guys can talk for another 4 hours. 877-337-6666. You know the number. Let's get it going on an early Saturday morning after one hell of a night of basketball. How about that? Fairleigh Dickinson from New Jersey, the little school that nobody thought could. Let's be honest, they shouldn't even be here. It doesn't matter. With an impressive victory the second time in the last 5 years. A 16 seed has beat a 1. And oddly enough, I was on that night. We'll get into that a little bit more because I have a funny story about it. But I followed UMBC and that tournament that year. I was on the night after that game, and I'm on the night again. I'm on tonight after this game, or this morning after that game. What an impressive victory. And much like that UMBC victory, this wasn't a lucky, have a slog of a game, although, Purdue did miss a ton of shots, and that's really where the game was lost. But they took it to him, man. Fairleigh Dickinson outplayed this team from jump. They had the lead at the half. They outplayed him in the second half. They made things impossible for Edey, who could be the player of the year. And Purdue's best player down low made it impossible. Constantly had two guys on him, made it impossible to get down there. And their guard play was just so much better than Purdue. It's not even worth mentioning. This was an incredible performance. This was not... Now, Purdue didn't play well. Purdue, again, as you look at it and what it takes, there's always two sides when you have upsets like this. But I want to make sure we give Fairleigh Dickinson credit because the Knights played fantastic. Moore was fantastic in this game. They knew the game plan. The coach was talking about it after their first win in the 68, that they had a good matchup against Purdue, and he was right. Whether or not he was a little bashful after the game and wasn't sure he actually won. Tobin Anderson, the head coach of Fairleigh Dickinson, didn't really care to go over it again. But he was caught on camera saying this was a good matchup, and it was. And they outplayed them from the jump. And last night you saw, I don't even know if it's arguable, the greatest upset in college basketball history. Now, I don't know college basketball history like the back of my hand, but it's tough to imagine a bigger one than this. This is the 68th team of 68 teams in this tournament. They come from the worst conference in Division I basketball. It's ranked the worst. The NEC is the worst conference. They didn't win the regular season of that conference. They did not win the tournament. They got in on a technicality because Merrimack could not get in because they've only been in the league for 4 years. They lost the regular season. They lost the tournament in the worst conference in Division I, and they just beat the number 1 seed. That is as big an upset. We love March for the Cinderellas. We love March for the upsets. It kind of sometimes can hurt the tournament moving forward when because this sets up a path for whatever. But, I mean, this is as big an upset as you can have. And this is what we live for. This is why we love this tournament. This is why people like me, to be totally honest with you, who are just casual or even less than that, college basketball fans, get all wrapped up in these 2 days in particular because you see stuff like this. You see a team that I know people, I think people thought Purdue was a fraud. You heard that left and right. Arizona is another one who lost to another New Jersey team in Princeton. Virginia with the loss, they've kind of been a team that either wins the championship or loses in the first round. There's a handful of teams, and Purdue has now cemented their legacy as a team that absolutely chokes it in the tournament here, as they have now lost to a 13 seed or worse 3 consecutive years. St. Peter's last year in the Sweet 16 as a 15 seed, and 2 years before that, North Texas as a 13 seed. 3 consecutive seasons, they have lost to a 13 seed or higher. They have cemented themselves as a choke artist in the NCAA tournament. So I think people thought Fairleigh Dickinson was a live dog here a little bit because they don't think much of Purdue. And boy, were they right, because Purdue was awful in this game, too. I said there's 2 stories. I want to focus on the Fairleigh Dickinson part because they played great basketball, and they deserve all the flowers, which is the new term for praise, all the flowers, all the praise. But the fact of the matter is Purdue looked scared in the second half of this game. It got to them. Their history of losing to high seeds got to them in this game because they were afraid to shoot the basketball. The broadcast said it. It was obvious. They didn't want to shoot it. Edey, their big player, did not put up a shot in the last 9 minutes of the game. He went up and got a rebound and brought it back down and had it stripped at a big moment in the reason they lost this game is, guard play, 3-point shooting, and how important it is in college basketball and in the tournament. Purdue was 19% from 3, 5 for 26. They were 35% from the floor at 19 for 53. They put on a brick house. This was a brick show. It was ugly basketball from Purdue, but it was forced by this upstart team that nobody thought had a chance in this game. I mean, honestly, I know what we think of Purdue. Forget that. Again, this is from the worst conference in the sport and a team that isn't even clearly the best team in that conference. They win their round of 68. They get into the 64. It's a conference that has never won a game inside the round of 64. Not one. 0 for 31, I think the stat was. And they come out and they take it to Purdue. This little team from New Jersey, from Teaneck, from Hackensack, takes it to the 1 seed. Now, can they win the next round? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Probably not. We all know what's going to happen. It's the same thing that happens to most Cinderellas. It's going to end after 1 game. But this is why we love this tournament, because anything could happen. And I think the coach said it. He was, stealing from Kurt Russell, playing Herb Brooks in the Miracle movie. Play them 100 times, you probably lose 99, but not today. And it was just an excellent basketball game. They made everything look so difficult for Purdue. Everything. Down the stretch, blocking shots, out hustling for rebounds, everything. They were the team that wanted it more, without question. Without question. And so much of this game, especially when your team goes ice cold, it's about effort, it's about defense, it's about hustle, it's about coaching. And now Matt Painter, I mean, geez. Him and this Boilermaker team are creating a legacy here, unfortunately, one you don't want. I mean, and this year they were dominant at times in the regular season. Clearly deserved to be a 1. At times thought maybe they could be the overall 1. And they just put up a miserable performance and allowed a team that didn't even belong there. And how they allow that in the first place, how the NEC conference or Division I basketball allows a team that's eligible for the tournament to play in the conference. Why? Why allow that game that doesn't mean anything to be played? They shouldn't be allowed to play the tournament. It's stupid because now, I mean, it makes for a great story. It adds a little bit. It adds a little panache to the idea what Fairleigh Dickinson has done here. And the idea they shouldn't even be in this tournament, quite frankly. But none of that matters. All that matters is you got another great day of basketball. And so far, it's been a good tournament. The same thing with Princeton, who played a great game as well. Now, that one, I'm a little less. I want to give them credit, too. Princeton played a great game. Arizona was putrid down the stretch of that game. Just absolutely putrid. Could not get a shot off. It was embarrassing, the shots they were taking. They couldn't score a basket the last 5 or 6 minutes of the game. Purdue at least looked like they were functioning a little bit and were just missing shots. But this is what the tournament's about. And it's the second time in history, a little school from New Jersey, no less, knocks off the 1 seed. 16 beats a 1. And again, I was here for UMBC. Now, that was a dominating performance. They won that game by 20 points. They ran Virginia out of the gym. That was an embarrassing effort from Virginia, and UMBC looked unbelievable. It wasn't so pronounced, but this was not a lucky pull it out. You know, the one seed goes cold in the second half, and somehow you play a slog of a game and figure out a way to hit a last-second shot, the way Furman did earlier in the tournament yesterday, or Thursday, should I say. This was a game, they outplayed them. They were the better team. Fairleigh Dickinson, believe it or not, from the NEC, was a better team than Purdue today. There's no question about it. This was not lucky. This was not a bad call, a lucky shot, an injury, their best player fouling out, or whatever other circumstance you can think of where these upsets can kind of happen, where you can go, hey, things happen. This was one team better than the other. Fairleigh Dickinson deserved to win this game. This was not a fluke game. They outplayed them. So when he says, played them 100 times, might lose 99, I'm not so sure. Sometimes matchups make these games, and this was a matchup with the guards of Fairleigh Dickinson and the defense of Fairleigh Dickinson, and the way they kept Edie from even getting the ball at times. Again, not a shot in the last 9 minutes. This was a dominating performance, and it was a lot of fun, and this tournament's been fun ever since it started. It's really been a good tournament so far. And these games are a lot of them been close. Some of it's been chalky. There's been a few big upsets, but the games have been close. They've been good, and it sets up, as much as we love Cinderellas, when chalk wins, it sets up for better tournament as you go along here. And obviously, Purdue is out. Arizona's out. There's a handful of upsets here, but last night was special. Watching that game is fun. Watching that game is special. It doesn't matter what they're going to do in the next round. If they lose by 30 points, it doesn't matter. They'll always remember this. We'll always remember it. And this little school out of Hazlet, New Jersey, just knocked off a number 1 seed in the tournament. It doesn't get better than that. 877-337-6666. We're kind of up against it with breaks because the postgame show went 13 hours. So I got to get to a break here, but we got plenty to do this morning. Obviously, we got to get to the World Baseball Classic, and we got to get to the debate on whether or not we should care or not, which is the dumbest argument I've ever heard. It's amazing to me. And now, after the Nimmo injury, and at first it looked like it could have been a bad injury. If you didn't see that, Nimmo kind of caught a spike sliding into second in the Mets spring training game last night. When it looked really bad, like a devastating knee injury, here came out the arguments. For everybody, Diaz got hurt in the World Baseball Classic. They shouldn't play it. Oh, look, Nimmo got hurt in spring training. Maybe we shouldn't have spring training. Oh, it's not the same regular. Like, here came out the argument. And you know what? The guys who are arguing for the World Baseball Classic and that it's awesome and that injuries can happen anytime in any place, well, they won this evening. We'll get into it. We got to get into the Yankees, obviously. Got plenty to do. Plenty to do. Rick Pitino looks like he's going to be the head coach of St. John's. We got a lot going on. And I got you all the way to 6 o'clock in the morning with Richard Neer. So let's go. 877-337-6666. McMonagle here with you right here on The Fan.
12 days until opening day. Driven by Jeep.
Yankees win.
The home of Yankees baseball is The Fan. 101.9 FM and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Spring training isn't just for baseball players. With the warmer weather around the corner, it's time for you to get into game shape as well. And with NJ Diet's contractually guaranteed program, you'll lose 20 to 40 plus pounds in just 40 days. That's right, 40 days to lose 20 to 40 plus pounds, and it's guaranteed. NJ Diet's program starts with personalized supplements based on hair, saliva, and blood work. And then NJ Diet uses DNA testing to create your ideal diet plan and workout regimen to help you keep it off. 40 days to lose 20 to 40 plus pounds is a real thing with NJ Diet. They're with you every step of the way, and you're fully monitored by their certified staff the entire time. You'll also get the doctor's personal email and phone number. Schedule your consult today for contractually guaranteed weight loss. They have offices throughout the East Coast, and they're available worldwide with live online video consults. Call 8555-NJ-DIET or go to njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com.
With over 90 years of combined legal experience representing the law enforcement community, Decolator Cohen & DePrisco, LLP, continues to strive to educate police officers of their civil rights to sue in line-of-duty accident cases. The 2023 Police Officers' Right to Sue newsletter can be viewed on policeofficersrighttosue.com and provides successful results in varying line-of-duty accident cases. These results include damages recovered from RMP accidents involving the City of New York and civilian motorists, station house defects, ricochet injuries from the range, private premises slip and falls, sidewalk slip and falls, construction defects, snow and ice cases, and injuries emanating from defective RMPs. In any LOD accident, it is important for the officer to take photographs of any defects, injuries, or damage. It is also essential to draft the line-of-duty report and detail the cause of the accident in the paperwork. Remember, there's a 90-day time limitation to file a claim against a municipality. If any law enforcement member has a question regarding a potential lawsuit, contact Decolator Cohen & DePrisco, LLP at policeofficersrighttosue.com or call 1-800-901-1529.
Connecticut's best values at Town Fair Tire. They honor all manufacturer and valid competitor rebates, offer the most free services for life, plus give you the guaranteed lowest price. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.
Town Fair Tire.
At Mercedes-Benz of Morristown, you do have a choice. Today, most manufacturers have an electric vehicle, but only Mercedes-Benz has the luxury you've grown to expect with electric technology that's beyond your imagination. Stop in and see the full line of Mercedes-Benz EQs, available at Mercedes-Benz of Morristown. To make an appointment, call 888-THE-BENZ. That's 888-THE-BENZ. Mercedes-Benz of Morristown, 34 Richdale Avenue, just off exit 36 on Route 287 in Morristown. Remember, you do have a choice, so make it Mercedes-Benz of Morristown.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. With warmer spring temperatures, hang your clothes to dry outside instead of using the dryer. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Celebrate Jersey Mike's 13th annual month of giving. Make a donation all month long at your local Jersey Mike's and make sure to stop by Wednesday, March 29th for a day of giving, when 100% of sales will be donated to local charities. Learn more at jerseymikes.com/MOG.
Hey, Connecticut, if you want name brand tires at the guaranteed lowest price and the most free services, then get to Town Fair Tire, because nobody beats a Town Fair Tire deal. Nobody.
Town Fair Tire.
Are you over 50? Would you like to get up to 33% more income in retirement? Then call now for this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers, from a leading financial firm on maximizing your income in retirement. That's right, free. This free book reveals little-known truths about annuities in simple-to-understand terms that will help you make the right choices before buying an annuity. And it's free. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report summarizing the rates and benefits from financially strong insurers.
Call 800-715-9880.
That's right, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and Annuity Rate Report, both absolutely free for calling today.
Call 800-715-9880. That's 800-715-9880.
Sponsored by Annuity General. Producers have the appropriate licenses for the products they offer. Increased income is possible using strategies suited to your goals and may require buying multiple annuities and holding them full term.
Tax refund shock is everywhere. But what is it?
My tax refund shrank.
Mine too. The culprit? Pandemic-related stimulus payments and tax credits expiring. In this reporter's opinion, you need a tax expert.
Hey guys, Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest refund.
And tax prep is 50% off? Going there now.
50% off is a limited time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
At Staples, school is always in session. And savings never take a holiday. Especially now, during Staples Teacher Palooza, you can save even more on everything for school. Like 25% on classroom decor and stickers. And save up to 40% on trusted brands for the classroom, like Post-it, Papermate, and Elmer's. Whether you're a teacher restocking your classroom or a parent looking to help, during Staples Teacher Palooza, everyone saves big. But deals end soon, so hurry to Staples, your working and learning store. Offers end 3/18. In-store only while supplies last.
We have a mic and you have a phone. Call the Fan at 877-337-6666. Powered by Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com.
All right, let's go. 2:32, it's madness. And the Fairleigh Dickinson Knights are dancing right past the Boilermakers of Purdue, with an impressive win. It's history. The second time ever a 1 seed has went down to a number 16 seed. And this one is really different. It really is. I mean, they are the 68th team of 68 teams to make it. They come from the worst conference in Division I, and they didn't even win that conference. It is an outstanding upset on the highest level. And it's what makes this tournament great. It's what makes this tournament great. The nature. I had this argument last week. I don't really want to have it again. Is the NBA better than college basketball? I prefer the NBA game over the course of a regular season. I'd rather a game in January, or I'd rather just watch an NBA game. I prefer that. I prefer the greater players. I understand the style of play. I don't want to get into this argument. But what makes this tournament great is the nature of all these Game 7s. You can't slip up if you're Purdue. You can't have a bad night. You can't have a night. Even against the 16 team, you can't go 5 for 26 from 3. You can't be afraid to shoot the basketball. You can't, get shook because last year you lost to a 15 seed, and the year before that you lost to a 13 seed. It can't happen because on any given night you can go down. That's what makes it great. That's what makes it so much fun. That's why guys all want to take off from work on Thursday and Friday. It must be nice. And watch these games. Like my buddy Mike and Ronnie were sending us pictures from the bar all day Thursday. Sons of guns. Wish I was at the bar. It's what I wish. It's what I like. But I mentioned how I was on the air after UMBC won it a couple years ago in the 2018 tournament when they beat Virginia. And I was, and there's a funny story about it that I'll get to. But we got a lot to get to involving Mike Francesa and JJ. So it was Gio has mentioned it a couple times. We've talked about it. It's funny. But we'll get to that. We'll get to Aaron Rodgers and whether or not, we talked about Aaron Rodgers coming to the Jets for forever. For forever. Now he finally comes out on Pat McAfee. He's going to be a Jet, or he says he wants to be a Jet. He's told the Packers his intention to play, and it's his intention to play for the New York Jets. And now we have to, because we love this topic so much, and the deal's not done, we have to come up with another discussion, and now it's who has the leverage. Let's play who has the leverage. Is it the Jets who are desperate for a quarterback? And if this falls through, where are their options? Every other quarterback signed can't go back to Zach Wilson. This would be a devastating thing for the fan base. Is the leverage with the Jets, or is it with Green Bay, who doesn't really want to have their superstar who's already badmouthed them in front of 400,000 people on Pat McAfee go back into a room and say, okay, if you don't want to trade me to the Jets, I'll just show up and pay me the $60 million when they've already committed to their young quarterback. Nobody wants that either. Who's got the leverage? Will they give up a first-round pick? Will they have to give up a first-round pick? Will it be 2 first-round picks? This is the discussion we're going through, and we'll continue to have it. Obviously, the World Baseball Classic, as Puerto Rico blew a 4-0 lead in the first inning to Mexico, as Mexico came back. And what can you say about Rosarena? The guy is just money in the clutch. We saw it in 2020 against the Yankees. And we're seeing it now in the World Baseball Classic when the lights are bright. And make no mistake, whatever you may think about this tournament, the lights are bright. These guys, and we'll get into this too, on whether or not we should all be offended as MLB fans that they, consider this either on par or would rather win than the World Series, whether or not we should get all upset about such comments. These guys care about it, and Rosarena just never stops hitting. He's got like a 1.5 OPS right now. He's killing it. Makes a great game-saving catch. I'm not his biggest fan. But when he plays for Mexico, that's great. It's when he's with the Rays that bothers me. And then obviously the Nimmo injury, as it looked much worse. I thought it was a knee injury. They were clutching at his knee. I thought it was going to be a real bad injury. I was texting with Evan. Evan was pretty sure it was an ACL and he was done forever. And then the news is it's just an ankle injury. We'll see. I'm very puzzled by it because they were really concerned with, he was holding his knee. But now the question is whether or not we can all throw it in the face of the people who are very upset about Diaz getting hurt in the World Baseball Classic. And Obviously, that's a devastating injury. But it can happen anywhere. And I was going to get on Met fans for crying like babies, but then Nimmo gets hurt. Now I just feel bad for you. We don't know what that injury is going to be. He's going to have imaging on his ankle later today, I guess, and maybe we'll find out if it's severe or not. Ankle's much better than knee. He was walking on it, so it's not like it's a fractured ankle or something. Even if there's a high ankle sprain, all right, he's going to miss some time, but it's not going to be the end of the world and what you thought it could have been. But now we have the debate on whether or not the World Baseball Classic, can you get hurt? Oh, can you get hurt in spring training? Maybe we should cancel spring training. But I was going to get on Met fans for whining and saying the season's over when Edwin Diaz goes down. He's a great player. He's arguably, really inarguably last year, the greatest player at his position in the sport. He's the best closer in baseball. And it gave the Mets an edge, much like the Yankees always had with Mariano Rivera. It's an edge. It's not the end of the world. The amount of Met fans, all you do is throw it in my face. Every opportunity you get, I get yelled at. The Mets are taking over the town. The Mets have the best ownership. Steve Cohen's going to spend whatever it needs to take. The Mets are the best. They're way better. Look at they got Verlander. The Mets. Edwin Diaz goes down. Season's over. I knew it. We suck. We're cursed. Have you looked at other bullpens in baseball? You act like you can't win with David Robertson as your closer. You're going to have to go out and get more depth. Yeah, that's what the trade deadline's for. But with the added teams to the postseason, the idea that you want to give up after watching him, I know you were hurt that he got hurt celebrating. I know it bothered you. But you're whiny Met fans ready to tuck the season away and hope for next year because your closer went down. Get a grip. Now, if Nimmo's seriously hurt, you're in trouble. But hopefully he's not. Let's get to the phone calls, 877-337-6666. All that's on the docket. We'll get into each one. Justin Mawa. What's up, Justin?
What's going on, boss, man? I'm sorry to take it away from the March Madness and everything, but I'm going to give a little shout-out. I'm going to give a shout-out to FDU. Let's go, Jersey. Hey, 16C over the 1.
How about that?
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. And they played well. They shot the 3, big clutch shots. Hey, give it up to them.
Yes. Oh, no. I mean, they hit their shots. That 3 at the end of the game from Moore was an incredible shot from the top of the key. They played well. They did everything they had to do. They limited the touches for Edie. They made it difficult to get the ball down there. They went after every loose shot. They were blocking shots. They hit the big shots down the stretch. And they outplayed them from soup to nuts, from tip to final whistle. They were the better team on the court, and they deserved to win this game. It was an amazing performance.
Absolutely. You said it right. That top of the key shot put the game away.
That put the game away, no doubt.
Sir, yes, sir. Hey, but let's talk about a little bit of Mets, huh? Here we go. Listen, die hard till we die. Hey, you have the best closer in baseball, and it just sucks to see that going on. I know what you just said. You hate to hear the Mets fan whine and cry, but listen, you can't replace that guy.
No,
I know the money. I know the money's insured. You're gonna get the trade done. You had all my points, and that's absolutely great. But as growing up, you see all Yankee fans having Mariano. This is the closest guy we had to something like that. In the 9th inning, you knew already, 100%, that was a win. That guy, you heard the trumpets, that was going to be a win.
Right.
And now that Dave Robertson signing looks like a freaking gem, man.
Yeah, no, you need him, and you'll probably have to go out and get more. Maybe they bring in Zach Britton. Maybe
Zach Britton hasn't pitched in 3 years, though. That's what everyone's been saying.
Yeah, it's for depth. You're going to have to see how he throws and bring him in. No one's saying you're going to bring him in. He's going to be the same old Zach Britton, and you're going to have him close baseball games. But he's still a guy who's had a history of being a top reliever when healthy, and you got to see what he looks like. But my only point was, the Met fan has never been more confident. Crowing, we're the team of the city. We're the best team ever. Look, we stole Correa in the middle of the night while our owner was sipping martinis in Hawaii, and then when that fell through, no big deal. We have the best owner in baseball. He'll figure it out. That was extra. We didn't even need that. We're fine. No big deal. That fell through. I mean, the owner said it was the missing piece and the guy you needed in your lineup to really become the front runner for the World Series. But it's no big deal. You took that in such stride. So confident. And who could blame you? I couldn't blame you. I would be very confident if I were a Met fan. I still would be today, though. And the amount of Met fans who tucked their tail between their legs and ran home because Edwin Diaz had a devastating injury. Don't get me wrong. It's devastating. It's celebrating. It's not even in the act of baseball. It's a freak injury that could have happened anywhere, as the Nimmo injury points out. This guys get hurt. The Yankees, Bader's out for 2 months with an oblique strain swinging the bat. Obviously, that could happen anyway. That's what he does. Rodon has a forearm strain already. They just signed him to a big contract. He hasn't pitched. He had 2 spring training starts for them. And he's on the IL. And who knows? I don't care what, dinosaur muscle is sore. Forearm strains scare the hell out of me. I don't care which muscle it is, if it's one he's already dealt with or it's one that typically doesn't lead to Tommy John. I don't care. Forearm strains scare me. And we'll see how that goes. Injuries can happen anywhere. And it sucks. But my goodness. How many Met fans wanted to tell you the season's over? The season's not over. The Mets are still very, very good. And they'll have to do things to the bullpen. They don't have that edge. They don't have their guy. They don't have... And I understand that it was just an energy thing. The trumpets became a thing. I get it. It became a thing. The Enter Sandman was a thing for Yankee fans. It wasn't as much as him doing what he did once he was on the mound. But I get it. It brought energy to the team, brought energy to the stadium, and he was the best reliever in baseball. And it sucks to lose him. But man, oh man, Met fans, you can't crow like you're the best team on God's green earth, lose one guy, and then talk about your season being over. Sully in Jersey City. What's up, Sully?
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
FDU.
FDU.
I'm going to say this. FDU beat them. St. Peter's beat them last year. But we own Purdue. New Jersey owns Purdue.
No doubt. No doubt. Back-to-back years.
And you know how they beat them, right? You know how FDU beat them? They took Edie out of his game.
No question.
They brought him out.
The last 6 or 7 minutes of that game, he looked confused. And honestly, he had the rebound in his hand, and he brought the ball back down, and it got stripped out of his hand. Even that, he just looked off. He looked like every time he got the ball down low, he was looking to dish it out instead of taking it strong to the hoop. They had. And
here's the guy is like he's like 7'1". What is he? 7'6"? I don't know.
Yeah, he's. I'm not sure exactly his height, but he's tall. He's obviously very tall. He's up there for Player of the Year. He's a tremendous player. He scored 21 points in this game, 7 for 11 from the field. And he hits his foul shots. He shot 7 for 10 tonight. He's a great player. But you're right. They got him out of the game. They got him out of his game. Their guard play was far better. Their defense was far better. Their intensity was far better. And they had a game plan where they were trying, the Boilermakers were trying to catch up the whole game. There was not a second of this game. And I didn't watch the whole second because I didn't watch every second of it. You're flipping around. It's the tournament. So I didn't watch every single second of the game. But from what I saw, Fairleigh Dickinson was dictating the pace of that game almost every minute. There was hardly a stretch, even when, it's a game of runs and they didn't get blown out of the gym. But even when, for a short time, shots were falling for Purdue, Fairleigh Dickinson was dictating this game to them. And whenever you really start to see that, there are times you can sense an upset. You can sense an upset. The game's close. Everyone's, pay attention. But if you see the way the game is going, or then, they're up 1 at the half, and then, the first 5 minutes of the second half, first 4 minutes of the second half, you can tell, okay, this is where they're really the favorite's going to now take over this game. But when you can sense an upset coming. When no matter what's going on, even if it's back and forth, if you sense that the team, the underdog, is dictating the pace of the game. They're playing it their way. They look more comfortable playing the style of basketball that was being played than Purdue did. It looked like they were dictating how the game was going to be played, and Purdue, just on talent alone, was good enough to hang with them. But they didn't play the kind of game they wanted to play. The shots weren't falling. It got too... they weren't able to get the ball down low. Edey didn't have the kind of game you expect from him, especially against the smallest school in the tournament. He's this big center, their best player. They're going up against a 16 seed from the worst conference in the sport. They didn't even win the conference. Oh, and by the way, they're the smallest school in the tournament, and he was out of his game. That's an impressive performance. It's an impressive performance from Tobin Anderson and this Fairleigh Dickinson team. It really is. Dan in Trumbull, Connecticut. What's up, Dan?
Hey, how we doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I wanted to talk about the Mets and Edwin Diaz, but let's talk about Purdue. Funny thing is, I took Purdue first half money line. That was a loser.
Yes.
I would get to the Mets real quick. You know, like
I was thinking about taking Purdue in the second half, but only down one. The odds were still, it was like plus 500 or 600 for Fairleigh Dickinson. If I only had the foresight to take that then. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But you're good. You're right on though. There's a lot of games where you saw the favorites were down early. You could take that live line, money line.
Yes, you can. You can.
You made a good point. I wanted to talk about the Mets, but you made a good point about Purdue. Same thing happened to Arizona.
Yep.
You know, Arizona, you could tell down the stretch yesterday that once they started getting to that last 2-3 minutes, you could see all the pressures on them.
No question.
Same thing happened to Purdue.
It is in this tournament. It is dangerous to get into these tight games with a team that's starting to believe in itself. You know, for them to win in the 68 probably helped them. Having a win under their belt already as they're trying to take on Purdue, they felt good about themselves. The story of them not even winning their conference is behind them. Now they feel they've earned their way into this tournament, and they knew it was a decent matchup. The coach said as much in the post game of the first win. And then as it goes along, and the same thing for Princeton and Arizona, you're right. Once it gets within the handful of minutes and that game is close, the amount of pressure on the favorite, especially a Purdue team that has a history of the last two tournaments losing to high seeds, that is something the coach feels. That is something the players from last year feel. I mean, that is something palpable, and you could see it. You could see it them tighten up. You could see the shots getting uglier. The same thing with Arizona. Arizona could not hit a basket to save their lives. They didn't even get off a good shot in the last 5 minutes of that game. That was a real, that was a game where, Princeton shut them down the last 5 minutes of that game.
Yeah, it really, you're spot
and to
on.
have these two New Jersey teams, back to back with the biggest upsets of the day is just a lot of fun for us locally because, there's not a lot of local college basketball. Let's be fair. We'll see if Patino goes to St. John's. Maybe there will start to be a bit more feeling of some local college basketball. But right now, there's not much. And to have two New Jersey teams be the talk of the town on the first 2 days of the tournament, which everybody loves, it's nice. It kind of feels nice.
You're right on with that. And the funny part is, I'm from Connecticut. I'm a Syracuse fan, and I've always battled. All my friends are UConn fans, and I've always been that Syracuse fan. I made the wrong decision. I got one championship. They got 4 or 5. Yes. But real quick on the Mets, that was my original point is, you were talking before how everyone's all nervous about the Mets season. Imagine a couple years ago, we would be so happy that Robertson was our closer. And now we're all nervous.
Well, I mean, look, I'm not saying you should be happy Robinson's your closer. I'm just saying he's good enough, and they can do something at the deadline with this bullpen where it doesn't mean you can't win. Like, he was the closer at the end of the season for the Phillies. They made it to the World Series. Like, just because I'm not saying you should be thrilled you should be thrilled that you have him to be the backup closer and that he's someone who can step in, who's had, he was just in the World Series last year. He's postseason performances with the Yankees. Nothing's going to shake him. He's going to be, confident. He's going to be himself. And he's a good pitcher who's had history closing and closing in big games and in this market. So, yeah, he's a perfect guy to have as the backup. I'm not telling you should be thrilled he's your closer. What I'm saying is Edwin Diaz, as important as a piece he is, You're still talking about a guy, yes, when the trumpets hit and you have a lead, the game is over. And that's invaluable. And if you ask those 90 Braves team, I've heard Chipper Jones say this, if you ask those 90 Braves teams who thought they were the best team of the decade, the one thing that separated the Yankees from them was Mariano Rivera. So now I'm not trying to tell you Diaz is already Mariano Rivera. It would have been very hard for him to match last season. Let's be fair. Relievers typically do not do that. I expected him to be good, but the odds of him being as electric and good as he was last year are slim. But losing him doesn't mean it's over. Losing him doesn't mean, you're talking about a guy who's going to pitch, 80 innings? Valuable innings that close games, no doubt. But if God forbid Nimmo had the same injury, you could argue that's worse for the Mets. If Lindor had this injury, that's worse for the Mets. If Pete Alonso has this injury, a guy who plays every game and you're expecting to drive in 100-plus runs and score 80, 90 runs and hit 40 home runs, you can't lose that guy. That's much more of a valuable piece than a guy, as come postseason time, maybe not. But over the course of a year, while you're battling with the Phillies who've improved, you're battling with the Braves who've won the division how many straight years, and are as young and talented as it gets, as you're battling for a division and you're battling to get in the postseason, it's much harder to supplant a big-time bat. And it's more just, honestly, I'm tweaking the Met fan because I've been tweaked. I am rooting for the Mets, and I certainly wish no ill. I know I got some flack that I was reveling in the injury. Don't confuse messing with Evan, which is technically my job. I get paid to mess with Evan. I don't know if you've listened to the show. Hi, Big Mac from Carton and Roberts. I literally get paid. That's my role on the show, along with Craig, is to bother Evan when things like this pop up. So because I might have tweaked Evan during the show about it, does not mean I'm reveling in the injury. I was bummed about the injury. Believe it or not, I want the Mets to be good. It's exciting. I want a Yankees-Met World Series. I want the Yankees to win every single game and in embarrassing fashion, but I was upset, sick to my stomach. The best reliever in baseball gets hurt celebrating in what's really been, by anyone's estimation, the most successful and entertaining World Baseball Classic we've ever had. It's not even over. I'm ready to stamp it. I don't ever remember paying this much attention and seeing this much of a fan reaction and seeing this many the ratings through the roof. Half the country of Japan watched. Half the country. 60% of Puerto Rico watched. And we'll get into this debate later. I'm interested in your calls, 877-337-6666, about how you feel about this World Baseball Classic. It's not my favorite thing. I'm going to try and watch tomorrow night. If something comes up, if I get stuck watching the Netflix documentary on the Malaysian flight that got lost, maybe that might happen. I don't know. And maybe I won't want to change it. I'll just check on my phone the score. Or just, I can't promise you I'm going to be locked into every second. I personally don't care that much about the tournament. But you got to acknowledge that the amount of people who do and that these players do, and watching the game, the atmosphere is playoff atmosphere. There's no other way to put it. It's playoff atmosphere. I don't care about who the championship. I have no connection to it. I don't have any, I have connection. I live in this country and I love my country, but it's a tournament that I won't lose sleep if America loses. That's just the truth. Like I will if the Yankees lose. I'll be miserable for a week. I'm not going to be miserable if the United States, I'll root for them and I'll probably watch the finals, but I'm ready for the Yankee season. But that doesn't mean the rest of the world is that way. And it doesn't mean you can't watch and respect what's going on and the atmosphere and how much it means to the players. 877-337-6666. We'll get more into that as we go along here. McMonigal here with you all the way till 6 o'clock, and Richard Neer. We got to get into Aaron Rodgers, Rick Pitino. The Yankees, if you've been watching, my guy Volpe's still with the team. They sent down Dominguez, yes, but Volpe is still up. I think he's got a good chance. And, of course, if you watched, Aaron Hicks dropped another fly ball. So it's just par for the course as the Yankees get ready for their season. The Mets are dealing with now the closer being out and possibly the center fielder being out. It's just been one hell of a spring. So let's talk about it, me and you. 877-337-6666. McMonigal here with you on the Fan.
Home of Boomer and Gio in the morning.
I don't know what he wants at this point. I don't think he knows what he wants at this point in his life. How important is it to him?
The Fan, 101.9 FM and always live on the free Odyssey app. Download it today.